Back to the week of wrestling. I'm your host, Hunter Chambliss, and I'm joined by my co-host, Ryan Payne. How's it going, man?
It's going pretty good. Been one hell. It's only been we're only like half month into 2024, and already I feel like I've just been wrung out like a towel.
Same. So many news, so many rumors, but we are not doing that today. Well, what we are doing is we are going to break down our predictions for the 2024 Royal Rumble. We're going through the entire card, giving our winners, our predictions. And then at the end, we are talking about TNA Wrestling is back with TNA Hard to Kill 2024. So let's kick off with our Royal Rumble predictions. Let me actually bring up the Royal Rumble card, and then we can kind of go from top to bottom with that one.
Okay, yeah. Whatever comes up first. I mean, clearly you want to like save the Royal Rumble matches for last.
Yeah. All right. So, Royal Rumble 2024. Here are the scheduled matches we have so far: the men's and the women's Royal Rumble matches, the Fatal 4-Way match for the WWE Undisputed Universal Championship, Roman Reigns,
Mhm.
Randy Orton, AJ Styles, and LA Knight, and for the
Yep.
US Championship, Logan Paul versus Kevin Owens. So, let's start with KO versus Logan Paul for the United States Championship. Why don't you start with your predictions, who you're going for, and why?
There is honestly no prediction, man, because it's clear that it's going to be Logan Paul. As much as I don't want it and I don't like the fact that he's the champion, he's gonna retain it.
Any reason why you just?
Well, so far regarding like people's fantasy booking, it feels like the person who's going to dethrone him will be LA Knight. But to me, honestly, he's yet to defend the title, and so him beating Kevin Owens would be his first title defense.
Mhm.
And the fact that he's a part-time wrestler, I mean, yes, he's more broad. He's more worldwide with brand recognition. So it doesn't surprise me that they'll keep the belt on him a little bit so he can at least walk into WrestleMania with the championship. Because, like it or not, myself or anyone else out there, he's gonna be champion going into WrestleMania. I don't like it's
Yeah.
at Kevin Owens' expense because to me, Kevin Owens, he should be the one that should be inserted into this title picture with Roman Reigns. But that's I'm hoping but he's been a solid worker. He never legitimately complains that like most wrestling talent, and he even when he's given something that honestly most people think is beneath him, he's able to actually make gold out of it. So I think he's going to do something with this feud with Logan Paul. He's going to
Yeah,
give Logan Paul a very good, decent match. That's for sure.
I definitely agree. They're gonna give it to Logan. I think the clear road is Logan Paul versus LA Knight at Mania, which may actually go into what I predict for the Universal Championship match, which we'll get there in just a minute.
Yeah.
But I think overall, Logan Paul's title reign has been horrible. He hasn't defended the title. I like the idea of doing the tournament for the U.S. title. I think that was a good idea to give
Yeah.
more people time on TV and give him something to fight for. But do not put Logan Paul on commentary ever again. For a dude that talks and has a podcast for a living, he does not know how to do commentary on WWE TV.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a little mixed on that. I don't know if that's meant to be his character or he really just doesn't know how to talk. I honestly think it's both. I mean, because there have been moments where he's on mic and he's able to cut like at least a very
Mm.
streamlined promo, but then most of the time, yeah, he gets a little too. He really does go over the top a little bit, and I don't mean like over the top in a good way. I think he goes over the top trying to into what character he's given.
Mm-hmm.
And look, I was not one of the biggest fans of him coming to WWE or at least wrestling, but he is a fan after all, and what he has done so far, especially in his part time, he has not been someone who they'll strap a rocket to him and like have him win match after match after match. But the thing is with Logan though, I don't think this even though he's a boxer and he's athletically trained. I just don't think he has the longevity to be around in wrestling, which is why he's a part timer. If he
Mhm.
was only there for maybe the one off celebrity matches like we saw with Bad Bunny, that'd be something to be excited about.
Yeah.
But if he wants, but you know, if I was in his shoes, I'd also want to. I don't blame Logan Paul one bit for wanting to do this. If I was in his shoes, I'd want to do the same thing. I'd want to be in big match fights. I'd want to hold a championship. It's just to me, it just he's never come off that way. He's never come off in a way to where I could legit believe that he's here to do this. But you know, that's just my opinion. But even then,
Yeah.
with this later turn of him finally being solidified as a heel character, he's more of a digestible character on television. It's just because of his podcast and his YouTube channel. I just don't see a difference between the two most of the time. It's literally to me, it's literally the same guy. You know,
I think that's kind of what I like slightly about his character, though, is that he is supposed to be this obnoxious character, which he is in real life, but it's just amped up to like 11. Which the great heels are always their personalities amped up to the 10th degree.
yeah, but there's always but there's a little slight restraint in most of the heel characters that
Yeah.
exists out there. Like if you were to take Logan Paul as a heel character and compare it with someone like Roddy Piper or Ric Flair or fucking Hollywood Hulk Hogan. I mean, as much
Mhm.
as Hollywood Hulk Hogan was a fucking menace in WCW, there were some comeuppance for that character. And same with Ric Flair. That's the thing. I've not seen much comeuppance from Logan Paul except from Kevin Owens socking him in the jaw. But like I said, he's part timer.
Apparently he actually hit him too, gave him a black eye.
Eh. Hopefully that'll teach him to shut his. Maybe that'll teach him to step back a little bit. But beyond that, with Logan Paul, I don't know. I guess with me, he hasn't really sat right with me. I mean, if some people enjoy his character, I'm not gonna yucky or yum there. If you like what you like, go for it. It's just for me, I am having a hard time really trying to buy it. I mean, when it was him and Rey Mysterio, I'm like, yes, they're gonna give him the belts because I mean, like they're gonna like heaven forbid they let Santos Escobar take it off of Rey. But
That would have been a much better story.
I think that was one of my issues with Logan. When he's involved in a title picture or something, it cuts away from the story that's involved. Sure, we still
Mhm.
got the Santos heel turn, but I was hoping a little bit with Logan that he was more of a instigator instead of being the one to cause it. But you know that's how things are. I'm panning off a little bit. As far as I can tell, Logan Paul will win. Depends on how he's going to win, either through a dirty finish, most likely a dirty finish. Honestly, it's going to be a dirty finish.
Yeah. Which, again, as long as LA Knight takes the belt from him at Mania, I'm fine. Because that would give him a good 4-month, 5-month title reign. And then LA Knight can take it off of him, run with the US belt from there. That's my theory, at least. So, yeah, we both
That's
agree
what
that
I
Logan
think. That's what
Paul.
because the way that LA Knight is at the where LA Knight to where he is right now. I mean, yes, I'd love to see him with a world title, but I think putting the U.S. title on him is a good trial run to really
Mhm.
see to test the longevity of his character. I honestly think he can go the distance, but given with wrestling crowds, things they will turn on a dime. So it really is like you gotta find the right moments to win to keep to really to keep milking the gravy train.
Yeah. Funny enough, that's one of his finisher names in TNA when he was Eli Drake, the Gravy Train.
That's right.
Nice.
Yes.
All
uh,
right, so let's move on to the Fatal 4-Way match for the undisputed WWE Universal Championship. Roman Reigns defends against Randy Orton, AJ Styles, and LA Knight. What do you think about this match? Because I've got differing feelings on it.
well, so far the build towards it, I haven't complained about. They've done a good job on SmackDown to really, with Nick Aldis as the general manager, to show that he's
Which,
not
by the
gonna.
way, I love Aldis as the GM that just will not let Roman Reigns bully him.
That well, not just bully him, but also try to politic him or try to manipulate him the way. Not saying Adam Pearce was bad, but it was clear like Adam Pearce was always thrown in a situation where his hand was forced. Nick Aldis is literally like, you're trying to force my hand on something? Oh, okay, then I will throw it right back at you. Which is why I like the idea that Solo Sikoa right now, he's not as dominant as he was last year. You're seeing Solo get some comeuppance. You're starting
Mhm.
to see Jimmy Uso not be as much of a like equalizer as he was the past 4 months. And then with Roman, yeah, he's kind of like in a way, he's in uncharted territory. And with Paul Heyman's literally flabbergasted every single time all this comes up with like especially the way the Fatal Four was set up. The whole thing was here it
Mhm.
is between these three men who you face. Roman's like, I'm not facing none of them. Which honestly, the moment he came out there, I'm like, it's gonna be a Fatal Four Way. But I like the way it was done. It wasn't done like this whole like he's on the mic saying you're gonna face four of these guys. All this just comes up to Heyman says, tell him when he's done celebrating, he's gonna face all four of them at the Royal Rumble.
I
And
will
we get that.
say the only thing. Sorry to interrupt you. The only
Go for
thing
it.
I would have done is because they try to make Roman this, this very smart, intelligent, God pro wrestler. What I would have done, and I got this idea from someone else, I believe it was over at Fightful. They were like, why don't you have Roman leave the building and assign Jimmy Uso to be the one to make the right decision? Jimmy then causes the match to be thrown out, which then puts Roman in the situation to have the four-way match. Then he can be like, Jimmy, what are you doing? In pro wrestling, when shit like this happens, it's always turning into a four-way match. That way, Roman looks like he's still intelligent and not going out and just putting this all on himself, making him look kind of dumb in the process.
Yeah, it's kind of one of the reasons why when Roman likes to do the whole head of the table, I mean, he has the wise man for a reason. I mean, it's like
Yeah,
Paul Heyman would have literally told him, "Don't
Paul
do
should have
that."
known. Exactly. Paul should have known better.
Well, it ultimately just falls down to well, not ultimately. It pretty much is unfortunate with Roman's story, and it's a con I have. Well, not a con, a negative about him holding the title for so long. It's literally like whatever character you tried to make him, whatever added qualities you tried to give him for these long title reigns,
Hmm.
it's kind of gone out the window when you need, unfortunately, to force a match in for a pay per view or premium live event.
And it sucks that Roman's not showing up to book these you know potential contenders to build them up in a way. He's showing up like 2 or 3 weeks before the event, expecting us, the audience, to care about this upcoming match. When in reality, I don't care anymore.
Well, that's the problem because he's held the belt for so long. It doesn't matter who's his next opponent to be set up. It's literally it's honestly going to be okay. Roman's going to win. Who's next? The only intrigue I've ever had with Roman so far. I mean, WrestleMania 39 was my last intrigue of Roman's title win,
Hmm.
and then that happened. He was off television for a while. Then the titles were split. The main focus was put on Seth, and then Roman
I
barely
feel
was
like
on TV.
if they would have given Cody the belt at Mania 39,
like originally
and then
planned.
yeah, and then let Roman go and do stuff with the Usos and not put Jimmy back with Roman, which makes no sense at all, then you could have had a great ending of the Bloodline story at Money in the Bank, where it was the Bloodline Civil War. Then you could have had them go their separate ways. Maybe, you know, do what you did with Jay, have him move over to Raw to start his singles career.
Yeah, that's honestly is it's kind of what surprised me why that didn't happen. Look, I understand. Well, actually, I don't understand the point of wanting to make another long world title reign hit record when, to be honest, it's been shown so far on modern TV with modern TV audiences. You have to really keep them invested. And throughout Roman's entire reign, I said this to a friend of mine. There's only been 3 times where I was interested in his title reign. That was
Mm-hmm.
when he it was during the formation of the bloodline when Roman was just getting his footing together. It was the with Drew McIntyre happening at
at
Clash
Clash of
of
the
the Castle.
Castle.
Yes, and then with Sami Zayn, of course, when Cody came back, the Rumble was happening, but with Sami Zayn, that threw another interesting wrench into those
Hmm.
plans. 3 times I was excited about. Because be honest, in between that time between the Bloodline and then to before Clash of the Castle, I really was not interested in any. Oh, actually, well, Kevin Owens at that the first time he and Roman tossed that Royal Rumble, not when Sammy betrayed them, but
Yeah, the last man standing match.
yes, that was a good
Hmm.
match. Uh, Although, no, I wasn't even interested in the triple threat match at Mania with Edge and Bryan Danielson, which led into the stupid t-shirt stack them and pin them or stack. I see. It's been so long. I forgot the T-shirt, which is one thing. Not outside of the Bloodline, We the Ones, and those are the only 2 Bloodline shirts. Oh, and then the Sammy Uso one. Those are the
Hmm.
only 3 shirts of merch items that has stayed in my memory. Anything else that came out, gone.
I don't know. I just at this point, like, what is the point of having a champion that never shows up? That's the problem we had with Brock Lesnar when he was champion, is that he would never show up. And now the same thing is happening with Roman.
Well, the thing with Roman, he wanted vacation, and it was literally like he was thrown in a situation to where Vince wanted the belt on him because he thought it would be a cool idea to swerve the audience, or he actually wanted to go for the long title reign. And if that was so, there should have been a plan involved. There should have been immediate story writing involved to at least really build up. Okay, this
Hmm.
is Roman's about to hit this marker where he's about to eclipse this title reign. Set up an opponent to have to fight Roman before those days. At least really build up the intrigue. Don't do a rinse and repeat. But beyond
Yeah.
that, right now with the contenders, Randy Orton being back, it puts him in a very interesting situation because Randy Orton came back in Survivor Series. Obviously, one of the reasons why he was out was because of the bloodline, but mainly with Jey Uso.
Hmm.
But Randy's on SmackDown now. So they put Randy and Jay apart because honestly, I think down the road that's going to build to something. So for right now,
Ooh.
that's what I think. Because so for right now, is going to take his focus onto Roman. And right now, if he obviously, I'm not sure if Randy's even going to take the pin in this one. I think LA Knight's going to take the pin.
That's what I was gonna say, and that goes back to my Logan Paul idea, was that Logan Paul was gonna cause LA Knight the match in this one, which sets up him and um, Paul and Knight at Mania.
Well, the only way that would be possible is that during the Rumble PLE, let's say they both they come into contact with each other. They have like a little backstage little riff off
That's what I think is
between
gonna
them.
happen.
Yeah, and then LA Knight's gonna say something that's gonna leave Paul a little embarrassed or flustered, and then
Yeah,
that's gonna lead him to come out. If that does happen.
yeah. That's my theory going in. I think Roman's gonna retain.
Because right now the main story is I think one thing that's kind of disappoints me with this Royal Rumble is that it doesn't because before then with WWE, the Big Four, Survivor Series, Rumble, and SummerSlam and WrestleMania, each 4 of them felt like they were their own big events. Sure, Rumble
Hmm.
was a transition to WrestleMania, but it didn't mean you could have some special moments happen that were not just the Rumble match.
Yeah.
And just few weeks ago, I was talking with a friend of mine discussing the Royal Rumble, and I was going over old Royal Rumble pay-per-views and special moments. Outside of moments in the Rumble match, there was maybe only 5 moments that happened that solidified the Royal Rumble, which was Undertaker having that little return, causing the ring to collapse in front of Kurt Angle.
Hmm.
There was, of course, oh man, I don't have my list with me, but beyond Royal Rumble eliminations and surprise entrants, there has not been many standalone moments of the Royal Rumble pay per view, which is really upsetting because I think. Oh no, yes, John Cena tying the record, Ric Flair's World 16 time record.
Kevin Owens or Sami Zayn turning on Roman Reigns.
Yes, that's another one. See, that's kind of it. We're trying to find these moments when they slowly
Yeah.
come back to us. Outside of that, like SummerSlam and Survivor Series, they do have their own moments as well. And I think with the Royal Rumble, if it really wanted to be something special, I would have to say that with Roman Reigns, maybe. Well, I mean, it's not going to happen. But if I was in control, I would kind of throw it away to where Reigns would lose the title. But then
Ooh.
that's just me. But then that throws in the whole huge wrench in what the WrestleMania plans would be. So
Yeah. So I did hear a rumor that Randy Orton could take the title and face Cody at Mania. I don't know if that would work out because they're both faces and you have so little time to set up a story
there's
that's
a
intriguing
story.
enough.
There is a
I mean
story. Their
I mean there
history with
is a
each other.
there is a story, but face versus face matches, especially for a title at Mania, you have to book that very carefully. And there's no way you can make Orton a heel already because the fans are so behind him right now. He just came back from injury.
Yeah.
And there's no way you can turn Cody into a heel because he's one of their top, merch sellers right now. He's the one who's bringing that big babyface energy. So
I
the
do
problem with
think
that
it's
is,
possible. But like you said, it has to be done carefully, kind of like what they did with Rock and Cena for 28. They had to build it carefully. And then if look in the past, there's Hogan in Ultimate Warrior at WrestleMania 6. They built it carefully. Like I think face
yeah,
versus face matches for a title is possible, but yeah, it needs to be done to where the I can't count Rock and Hogan because Hogan was definitely the heel going in, but to the Canadian audiences, they didn't care.
yeah. So I'm going Roman to retain in this match. Are you going
Well, yes,
someone
Roman.
different,
It's
or
Roman.
you are going Roman?
I would love for someone to
Okay.
go different, but seeing how the whole trajectory is and how honestly the Rumble at this point is nothing but just a stopgap, it's pretty clear that the only match people are excited for is the Rumble itself.
All right. So I do have a question going off of that for you. Do you think that WWE is hurting itself by making every pay per view like the best pay per view they possibly can? Because like I know what we're talking about, like something like Fastlane or Backlash, or those kind of B level pay per views that they have stepped up their game so much that the big four that were usually like the must buy pay per view event or the
Mm-hmm.
must watch aren't the like must watch anymore. Because I remember back in like the early 2000s and 2010s, like I would watch the B level events and I would have fun with them, but I would have to order Mania, I would have to order Royal Rumble,
Yeah.
SummerSlam, Survivor Series, the big four I would order. Now it feels like every event from Backlash to WrestleMania is this big, like, boisterous event. Is that hurting them, or do you think that's going to help them in the long run?
As far as it comes as putting the card together, they should make it something big. But for right now, look what we're seeing, what they just did last year with Backlash and with Clash the Castle. Oh no, with Clash the Castle, Backlash, Money in the Bank. They put them in international.
Elimination Chamber.
Yes, with Elimination Chamber coming up, they're doing them they're doing them outside the U.S. in international areas,
Mhm.
which honestly I think that is going to help them so they can do touring dates again, or at least maybe start throwing out more options instead of trying to rush. Because one thing that did hurt them was constantly going to different states or cities. Because to be honest, while it's nice that WrestleMania is happening in Philadelphia, but to be honest, WrestleMania has not gone to any other area that's not
International.
well, not just international, but I mean in the states. It has not gone to anywhere that's not Los Angeles. Well, at least within, at least considering, well, at least after WrestleMania 30, it's gone after WrestleMania 30. It's gone back to New Orleans twice. It has gone to
Mhm.
Houston twice. I mean, obviously the pandemic, they were both in Orlando,
Yeah.
36 and 37. And then of course they did LA for 39. They're doing
And then they
Philadelphia
did, and then
again.
they did what, Santa Rosa, California from Mania 31.
Yes, yeah, the heist of the century. Yes,
Yeah.
like it's not. I don't think they're not looking for many openings. Like they've not gone back to New York since 29, honestly, and even then that was meant to be like a split thing with New York and New Jersey.
Oh wow. Yeah, you're right. It's been a
Like
while since they've been back
I
to New
don't know.
York.
Yeah, I don't know if it's because I don't know. I think because Vince likes doing the open air stadiums instead of a closed arena. He has
Yeah.
been very open. I mean, because we saw from I think starting it from WrestleMania 31, he started doing the opening shows in the daylight, then letting sunlight happen. That's been a consistent thing
Hmm.
from 31 all the way up to at least 35, which to me personally, that hurt WrestleMania, overloading the card, making it too long for fans. Because one of the things that still irks me to this day was 35 had too many matches that didn't need to be necessary. It could have been
Yep.
maybe a tight 10 or 11 wrestling card, because I think last time I checked with some friends, it was like 15 or more matches
And
outside
it was
of,
like 5.5 hours. It was like the longest WrestleMania in history.
I don't know if it was, maybe I was in a bar with friends watching 35, so it was very very long.
Counting the pre-show, it was about 5.5 hours.
Yes, that's one of the things I think hurts it. I think they have learned a little bit. I mean, of course, they're doing after, because of the pandemic. They split it apart to be night one and night twos, and they
Which is the
continued
best
that
thing they've
trend.
ever done.
I'm still a little mixed on that, honestly.
Really?
Yes. Not because I don't see it as a bad thing. I still think, okay, make WrestleMania 2 night event fantastic. But to me, WrestleMania was meant to be the apex. Like, everything comes to an end here. And at the
Mhm.
same time, I understand a wrestling company with a huge stacked roster. You want to at least get some people. You want to at least get some. You want to at least put some bodies in there. To me, WrestleMania was kind of like, you know that you are a top star, or at least you're a household name, if you were on, like, if you were on the card, even if
Yeah.
even if it was a low level player. The fact they got into the WrestleMania card really was kind of like it got their name recognized.
Mhm.
That's what it felt to me. Like, even if it was kind of like, who is this wrestler? Wait, they were at a WrestleMania. They wrestled at WrestleMania. Okay, to me
Yeah.
now with the splitting apart, to me it
Yeah.
kind of hurts. Personally, to me, I think it hurts because the main event is no longer a main event. Sure, you get to
I mean,
wrestle.
it is a main event. It's not like saying like the opening match is a main event. Like there are two separate nights that are counted as a beginning match and an ending match of the night, which is the two main events.
I think, yeah, that is true, but also I think for me, when it comes with promos, I think it's really gonna hurt along the line as well. Like, I can no longer have. I mean, Roman. He's headlined so many WrestleManias. So when he says he's main event at WrestleMania, that's fine. But if someone like the Miz, well, no, Miz says that too. I'm trying to think. Let's just say, for example, we have, let's see, a wrestler that's not. Let's see, Jimmy Uso. Let's say if Jimmy says he main event at WrestleMania, it was like he did with, like they did 39 with the night one.
Hmm.
The biggest comeback I can see against Cohen was, no, you main event night a WrestleMania, not the WrestleMania. Because it was the
I mean,
night one thing.
it's still a main event. Like you still got the main event spot, but the only thing I'll add to that is, for example, take you know for movies, for example. I
Yes.
think a good thing about movies is, especially if you have a long franchise, is that if you break it up into two parts, for example, Deathly Hallows, Harry Potter Deathly Hallows, Part 1 and Part 2, that was a really good, you know, 4.5 hour movie because you got to break it up in between and got the character development in the first half and the action in the second half.
Oh
That's
man.
what you get here. You get Night 1 of Mania, which is, you know, to start off the night, to kick off the weekend right. You main evented the opening weekend of WrestleMania, and then you
Mhm.
close Mania with a banger main event, and you got two main events, and you've got people who can still say I main evented WrestleMania because they did. It's not like what WWE used to do, where it's like I'm gonna main event WrestleMania, and then they're like the second to last match on the card. You can't count that as a main event because it's the same night.
I mean, yeah. I mean, you do bring up some good points there. It's just to me that I mean, during that time before the night one and two, who knows what a main event was when anyone would say that?
Mhm. All right, so we got way off topic. I don't know
I
how.
know that one's on that one's on me, but but it's kind of a good talking point to bring up. I mean, I'm not the only person. I mean, we may have mixed opinions on. Some people might think having WrestleMania's 2 nights is a bad thing, especially
Mm,
when every other pay per view is just one night. But
yeah,
maybe that way it keeps WrestleMania still stands out on its own. The fact that it's 2 nights, and
yeah.
maybe
All
there are
right.
some who that love the
Oop,
idea.
yeah. All right. So let's move on to the women's Royal Rumble match. So for this one, I do want to open it up to who do we think is going to show up, any surprise returns, debuts, and of course, who we think is going to win the overall Rumble matches. So, do you want to kick off with your prediction?
Well, as far as the match goes, I don't know who's going to show up. I like it that way. I don't want to guess and see who's going to show up. I'm pretty sure if WWE wants to do a nostalgia bit, then my guess, if they want it for nostalgia purposes, I think either maybe Trish or Lita will show up.
Mm-hmm.
Unless they went to a comedy bit, maybe they'll throw a wrench in the audience and bring back Alicia.
Santina Marella.
No, he the way whatever Santino whatever Santino is doing in TNA right now, that's not gonna tear him away unless he worked out a deal with WWE for a one night appearance
To
like
be
Mickey James
fair,
did.
they did have Mickey James in there recently as TNA champion.
Yes,
So
that one was a huge blunder. They spoiled her showing up. I don't know why they did that.
why do they keep doing this?
I think they learned I think honestly that's a pure Vince thing because now there's been no marketing on the Royal because that was the thing that pissed me off about last year's Royal Rumble, at least the 2022 Royal Rumble. They kept trying. They spoiled surprise returns, or
Yeah,
not surprise entrance. They spoiled surprise entrance to be like, oh, pay attention to this Royal Rumble because this person's gonna be here.
last
One,
year
it's the Rumble.
that that pissed me off because like they announced Cody Rhodes was going to be in the Royal Rumble like a month ahead of time last year.
Yeah. Well, that's
And I was like,
why
why would you do that?
Well, that's because they had a certain billionaire that was still in charge of creative. Now he's not anymore, so
Mm-hmm.
everything's going to be a surprise. Which is why, that's why I'm guessing purely on nostalgia purposes. If they want, a huge pop from the audience, I'm guessing Lita or Trish, maybe, maybe Jazz, but she's kind of at that point to where I don't.
Ooh.
Yeah, I mean, she could be a surprise, but then that, like I said, nostalgia purposes.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as I'm concerned, moving on to if you want to know who my predictions are who I think will win, it's actually down to 3 women, and I'll be really quick on them. My first one, if she returns from injury, my first prediction is Liv Morgan
Okay.
because there is a storyline with her past relationship with her past history with Rhea Ripley to where I could see her return at the Royal Rumble, maybe show up at somewhere at maybe
Mm-hmm.
19 or 14 and win the Rumble to challenge Rhea at Mania. Because then it can
Okay.
play her because Rhea's turn to mommy, what the catalyst for that was when she turned on Liv Morgan after WrestleMania 37.
Her and Liv were the last two in the Rumble last year as
Yes.
well.
Yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
what better way for a Liv story there? The second one for me, if this is not going to be for Rhea, it's going to be for this is for another first timer, and that would be Bayley to win because
Mm-hmm.
currently right now on SmackDown, let's say her relationship with Damage Control is a little bit on the rocks right now, and then after her loss last week to Bianca Belair, it is kind of it's further at least when it comes to Dakota, Io, Asuka, and Kyrie, it's further distant. It's distancing Bayley from them, even though Bayley doesn't think there's a problem. And also, Bayley wins the Rumble. They can do this nice little storyline to see like Bayley. She won't challenge Io. She'll do the right thing, be the leader, go to Raw.
Mm-hmm.
But in between that time in Elimination Chamber, some seeds can be planted to make them think Bayley's going to cash in on Io, going to challenge Io. That leads them to betray Bayley, face turn for Bayley, and she challenges at Mania.
And then who's your third one?
My third one is actually kind of funny. I didn't think about this person, but after I spoke with after I did a podcast with a friend of mine, he brought up some
Mm-hmm.
very good points on this one, which made me convinced. I'm like, oh, because at first we were just going to our first 2 picks, but then I'm like, oh, she was a close third. But then after this past Raw with her promo, she's definitely another top, and that could be Becky Lynch being the first 2-time winner of the Rumble to challenge Rhea at Mania. Because
Okay.
after that promo she just had with Rhea, and also last year when she was at least at the time confronting, well, before she was NXT champion, she had that backstage little run with Rhea, where Rhea was being gloatful about her being on top, her being the toughest woman, and Becky did a response where you're only tough because it's that title that makes you tough. And I remember that line she said, "I don't need that title. That title needs me." And this was at the time where her reign at least was really not good. It turned around at least in the last 2 months, but even now, the longevity, at least in the first couple months, at least between then to Survivor Series, she has not had the best reign. And Becky's words made me realize Becky could be a great challenger for her either at the Rumble or or at Mania to take the belt off of Rhea. If not, Becky could be a great challenger for Rhea to help solidify Rhea as a top star.
Okay, so out of those three, which one is your pick to win? You
Well,
had to pick one.
if I had to pick one, if Liv is not coming back from injury, I'm gonna go with Becky.
Okay.
Because to be honest, as much as I loved her winning that Rumble last in 2019, they mucked it up with her so badly. And then, of course, inserting Charlotte into it, and then that overstacked card at 35 to when they were at the main event. It was a depleted crowd, but it was still energetic. But it was a depleted crowd, so I think this could be a good second chance for Becky.
Okay, so me personally, I've had this pick like from the start. I'm going with Bayley. I
Okay.
think this is the time that Bayley should get her first Rumble win. And as you said, the story they're setting up with Damage Control, I see it kind of like the Batista in Evolution storyline, where like Batista wins the Royal Rumble, then has to choose to go over to Raw or go over to SmackDown and take the title, or stay on Raw and face Triple H for the world title. I see it like that, and I agree with you. I think Io is going to be so paranoid that Bayley is going to turn on her that she's going to strike first and kick Bayley out, and then Bayley in return is going to choose Io, and that's going to be the main event at Mania. The only reason I wouldn't go Becky is because Becky doesn't need the Rumble to challenge Rhea. You already have a built-in story there that Becky can challenge, or hell, Becky can win an Elimination Chamber match at Chamber to then face Rhea at Mania. Then she's overcome the odds in the Chamber, and now she has a date with mommy, Rhea Ripley, at Mania. And you set up two storylines at the exact same time, with Bayley getting her Rumble win out of the way.
Yeah. That's also a good point. Yeah, it's a very good point. Yeah, Bayley is the stronger prediction choice.
Mm-hmm.
I just hope that, I mean, clearly, right now at Triple H, he hasn't done many swerves, honestly, with this booking. Look, he's had hits and misses, but
Thank
he hasn't.
God.
Yeah, he's had hits and misses just like everyone else has. But he's been more
Mm-hmm.
consistent on his booking and more,
Yeah.
at least creatively, at least it's more structured. So even if you did see an end coming, you would at least enjoy the journey to it. And
Yep.
honestly, if there was a chaotic pick to win the Royal Rumble, honestly, it would kind of reinstall this notion that it is chaos. The Rumble is chaos. You really don't know who's going to win. It literally could be anyone, not just a chosen person.
Unless Triple H wants to set up Io and Bayley in the Rumble itself, then what I could see happening is, now I don't know her injury status, so I'm going like off the Liv thing. I don't know if she's healthy. Dakota Kai could turn on Bayley and eliminate her in the Rumble, and then that could lead Bayley to kind of drifting apart from Damage Control and then challenge Io down the line.
Yeah.
But I just feel like Triple H loves Bayley, and he always has since NXT. I think if there's one person he wants to give this massive moment to that hasn't had the moment yet, it's Bayley.
Well, yeah, honestly with most of the women female talent there, Triple H has really shown very
Yeah.
strong, not just favoritism, but he's strong a strong favoritism towards the women in general. The fact that they're
Yeah.
getting more screen time, they're getting. I don't think they're getting a lot more matches yet on the shows, but you do see they're getting more and more TV time. Like
Hmm.
currently, right now, he's done a good restructuring of the tag division with Katana and Caden Carter as the
Yeah.
champions, where
An
they
actual
just
tag
did.
team.
Yeah, I mean, I did like the pairing of Chelsea and Piper were a good pairing together, and I think it's
Yeah.
also a slow reintroduction of Piper how she was on NXT UK,
Hmm.
because let's be honest, Triple H is doing a lot of reworking of people from the ground up, so it is going to
Yeah.
take a while. It's going to take a while. They're not going to immediately be back on the high star status as they were when they were on the NXT brands under them.
Yeah. And the only reason I brought up like how much Triple H loves Bailey is because I know he has love for a lot of the women's division, but if you I'm not gonna call it favoritism because he puts a lot of trust in a lot of the women's superstars, but when you go back to NXT, who was the first person he looked at when talking about the first NXT main event that had women in it? It was Bailey and Sasha.
Yeah.
He trusts Bailey with these big monumental moments, and Bailey has always succeeded at these big moments. You already have a built-in story, so I feel like Triple H is going to put all his trust in Bailey taking this Rumble win.
Yeah. Okay, I agree with you there. Yeah.
All right, and let's go on to what I believe is the main event, but the main event could be the four-way match. I just don't know yet. The men's Royal Rumble match. I think we're gonna have some different opinions on this one. Oh, by the way, I did want to bring up one person I think will show up in the Rumble, and I don't know if this is true or not. I I mean, besides Trinity, aka Naomi, I'm pretty sure she's gonna show up. I think we're gonna get AJ Lee at least
Hmm.
in one appearance.
I'm still hesitant with AJ. I think she's been. I don't know honestly. She has been. I
Mhm.
mean, despite her doing commentary for Women of Wrestling, at least being more involved there. I don't know. I don't know if she's ready. Maybe if it's a one-off appearance, I would not say no to that. But
Yeah.
I don't see her coming back as it's in a part-time status.
No,
Honestly.
not full time, but I'm saying like just for the Rumble, and since this is the first Rumble that Punk's going to be in a while, I feel like that would be a good moment to kind of bring her in for one night, have her go against some of the young talent, and then move on back to where women's wrestling or whatever she was doing.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's a few of mine. So now let's get into the men's Royal Rumble match. I'll start with this one. I think the winner is going to be CM Punk. I think he's
Spoiler
going to
alert.
win the.
That's also going to be my pick too.
I think as much as I want it to be Cody, I think Cody is going to win the chamber match and then challenge Roman at Mania. I think Punk has Punk ever won a Rumble match?
No, he hasn't. His last Roman match was 10 years ago.
Yeah. So I feel like they're going to give him this as a. Uh, I'm not going to say as a favor, but just as a gift. Like you haven't had a Rumble win, here you go. Use that to go on and face Rollins at Mania for the
Which
title.
apparently that might be in jeopardy now.
Oh yeah, because Rollins is injured, isn't he?
He hurt his leg during his match against Jinder. So
Mm-hmm.
for right now, I don't know exactly what's happening. They just said he's hurt, but they don't know exactly to the extent.
Yeah. So overall, I think the men's Royal Rumble match is going to be good. I think we're going to get a lot of good moments. I don't know if we're going to get any surprises though.
I'm not sure either, which is why I'm not making any reach out and assumptions.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, the only other reason why I'm picking Punk was that storyline that's clearly been built in between him and Rollins,
Mm-hmm.
and it's more than just you haven't won a Rumble yet. Yeah, to me it was either gonna be him or Cody, because since AJ, Randy, and LA Knight are in the Fatal 4-Way, I don't think they're gonna be in the Rumble match.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's the case, then Punk or Cody would be the two options. And Unfortunately, yeah. Cody, if Cody would win, he'd have to start somewhere in the middle, not at number 1 or 2, or get some, or in the last 4 spots. Because I will just say the last 2 Rumbles have actually ruined the mystique of anyone can win at any number. So I think
Okay.
if there is going to be a winner this year, there has to be someone from a truly random spot on the card, not
Mm.
just who's 27, 8, 9, or who's number 27, who's number 30, who's number 1, or who's number 2. I think WWE they've kind of to me I think they dragged that pony, they dragged that camel out to death. Honestly, they really,
I actually
really,
I wouldn't mind Cody coming in like number 5.
yeah. At least
It's
have him
it's
start
still
somewhere
early
off
on.
range.
He can he can do his kind of marathon run if you're gonna give Cody the victory. I hate the assumption that like Cody shouldn't have won last year because there was no adversity, and now he's doing absolutely
Those people that made
nothing.
those people that made those comments are without a doubt stupid. Because his return back, what did he do? The fact that he had a torn pectoral muscle that he chose to continue wrestling in a main
Mhm.
event that he had, that honestly anyone in their right mind would have said no to, but he said yes, I'll do it anyway, and put on more than a 20-minute match against Seth, doing more further damage to that pectoral muscle. Still came back in time for the Rumble to win, and people was like, "Oh, he needs more adversity." Look at his 10+ careers in the WWE before he left.
That
He
was his
has this.
adversity.
Yes, he already has a verse. He has a story. It's one thing that bothers me with people where they say, "Oh, we want to get behind stories, but you don't want to know the history of a wrestler."
And that's the one thing that like kind of irks me is that like with wrestling fans, it's what have you done for me lately? It's not let's look at the entire picture.
Yeah, that line. You don't. They only see the trees instead of the forest. I know the whole line
Yeah.
is see. You gotta see the forest for the trees, but I'm inversing that. No, they're only seeing the trees. They're seeing what's in their way. I'm like, they're seeing all these redwoods here, and they're like, "Oh, these redwoods look
Mhm.
beautiful." They're not looking to expand further on. No one has access to be in that bird's eye nest to see the whole picture. It's literally like, and it's one of the reasons why I don't like people who want to, you know, play Booker when it comes to, oh, this is not how I thought it was
Mhm.
going to go down. Great, wrestling just
Mhm.
because just because wrestling's predetermined, it does not mean it's going to end exactly the way you think it is.
Yeah. Um so overall, I don't know how excited I am for the men's rumble. Like
That's why
only
I think
cuz like
I think that's why the women's might main event this one, honestly, because there is
ooh,
more intrigue
really?
to that. I think it is. I mean, look, no, actually, it wouldn't shock me if the men's do a main event because Punk's going to be in it, and
Mhm.
right now the favoritism and the crowd love is towards Punk, and clearly, has I haven't been following Raw that much. Has he done a televised wrestling match?
No, the only match he's done was
He's
against
done house
Dominic
shows, yeah,
Mysterio on
yeah, he
house
did.
show. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Which
Yeah, it's
which by the way, Dominic took a hell of a GTS. That cell was great
well, yeah, Dominic's
at
young. I'm pretty.
MSG.
Yeah, he's young. I saw that GT. I saw GTS. Yeah, he's very young, so he knows. So he's got the energy and the stamina to be
Mhm.
able to at least do the cell.
Yeah, so this would be Punk's first like televised match.
Yes.
Um which again what kind of annoys me is that like and it's the same thing with Roman Reigns, how they do the Roman Reigns appearing on SmackDown for the first time, etc. Like 13 times last year. Like Punk Punk debuted or returned at Survivor Series and it's only had I think 3 or 4 appearances on Raw since then.
Yeah.
And it's like I mean, if you want to count his NXT appearance, fine. But like, I mean, like on Raw, like when he was officially drafted, he only had like 3 or 4 promos on Raw since he's returned, and it's like, why should I care about someone who's just doing the Roman Reigns treatment of showing up every so often to do one promo and then leave?
You know why? Because it's CM Punk.
Fair.
That's why. That's not that. It's pretty much like when people like every now and then with like with basketball, everyone likes to do the comparisons of LeBron James and Michael Jordan, and it's like oh, it's just LeBron's never going to be on the same level as Jordan, or Jordan's this A-level athlete. I'm like, guys, Jesus Christ. Are there any other? Is there any other athletes that you can say are the greatest? That's what's happening right now with Roman and Punk. I mean, look, Roman, to me, he's already done a lot of good work shaking off the big
Mm,
dog character.
yeah.
To me, if Roman really had any politic or any really control over his character, I think he really would have pushed hard to drop that belt at 39 and then take some time off like he wanted to.
I really think he would have. I don't put any blame on Roman for this, by the
No,
way. I don't hate Roman the guy. I don't hate Joe. I hate the booking of Roman that's been going on for so long. Which is what a lot of people, again, wrestling fans need to understand. When we critique characters, we're not critiquing the person. We're critiquing the booking of the person. I just I don't get why when you
yeah,
critique something, people immediately think it's an attack on the person, not the character.
yeah. But
See what
I
I'm
think
saying?
I think we spent enough time on this as is. Um, I mean,
Oh yeah,
I could go another round on this, but to be honest, we'd honestly be bringing up the same things over and over again. And I actually
yeah,
want to and I think it's time we should definitely start talking about the one thing that got me and you both excited to want to do this.
exactly. So, guys, sorry we spent so long on the Royal Rumble predictions. We did have a lot to talk about,
And
but
also, it's been a while
let's
since the both of us have been on screen together, so I'm pretty sure we were
yes,
trying to air out some dirty laundry or at least some frustrations.
probably a lot. So let's move on to TNA Wrestling's first pay-per-view back as total nonstop action. TNA Hard to Kill 2024. I'll just go through the pre-show matches, just tell
Yeah,
who
we don't gotta
won.
talk about every match, but we can just talk about our
Yeah.
favorites.
So Steve Macklin beat Rich Swann. The System, Eddie Edwards and Brian Myers defeated Frankie Kazarian and Eric Young. And Crazy
Mhm.
Steve defeated Tommy Dreamer for the Digital Media Championship. First off, what are your thoughts on the new TNA championship designs?
I've seen every single one of them they've shown on Twitter. They are
Mhm,
fantastic, and
I agree.
it's an amalgamation of the old TNA designs,
Mhm.
but still with an updated, but with a more modern, look. Still, like, we're honoring the past, but at the same time we're mixing it in with our future. And I love the red straps for the tag belts.
I
They
do
are
as well.
it's hard to do a red strap every now and then, but there's only a few belts I've seen that does the red strap beautifully. The North
North
American,
American Championship.
the IWGP, the now retired IWGP US Championship,
Mhm.
the
Oh,
original
wait,
Knockout Tag
that's
Championship.
retired?
Yes, in New Japan, just this past year, yeah. The triple threat match that happened between Moxley, oh my God, Moxley,
Moxley, Osprey, and Finley?
yeah, those three. That was for the new global championship.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I believe last year it was done where Dave Finley took a sledgehammer and destroyed the UK championship that Will Ospreay held, and
Mhm.
just cut this promo. Well, he destroyed the UK and the US championship with a sledgehammer, just as a setup for those three.
By the way, I'm loving Finley's work in New Japan.
Really?
He's such a great leader type character that I really enjoy.
Oh
You got
wow.
thoughts?
Well, if people want to hear my thought, well, I don't really have a lot of thoughts. I haven't been keeping up with New Japan last year,
Mhm.
but some of the stuff I've seen of Finley just did not win me over of him as a
That's
heel.
fair.
Well,
That's
because
fair.
I think on some promos he's done. I understand with New Japan when they do promos, it's mainly just treated like like it's like press conference wise. So I'm not
Mhm.
expecting them to tell me a story, but I want to at least try to believe them. And Finley didn't really make me believe he is leadership quality for at least the War Dog Bullet Club now.
That's
So
fair. I think the problem with the Bullet Club is that they're spreading themselves too thin over a lot of different promotions that it's hard to tell. Like, because you have technically the club in WWE, you have ABC and TNA. You've got
Well,
the
they're
War
still meant to
Dogs.
be.
You've got.
Well, ABC is meant to be a part of like Finley's little stable.
Is it okay? And then you have
At
Bullet
least
Club
when Jay,
Gold.
well, they were tied together when Jay White was there. It like I've not been following Impact. I didn't follow TNA last year as much as well, so I don't
Mhm.
know if Austin and Bay are doing their own thing now, and War Dogs is truly its own thing. But I do know Bullet Club Glow, at least Bullet Club Gold. It's been apparent when Jay White got kicked out, he was doing his own thing.
Yeah.
I think that's why it's why in one of his promos I remember he cut on I think it was the Bucks or Adam Cole, at least regarding Bullet Club. He's saying as long as he was like as long as he's here, Bullet Club is not, at least Bullet Club for him is not dead. He was going to prove that Bullet Club is not past its gold, has not passed its golden years when the Bucks were involved.
Yeah. And then I just feel like that faction started so strong because it was based in New Japan at a time where New Japan was getting so much attention. And now you're spreading it through 5 different companies, and I can't tell what is which.
Well, it's clear with WWE, it's the club is not. Well, it's clear it's really not. It's only that because of AJ and the Good Brothers. That's about
Yeah.
it. But even then, they really it was only that in name alone. If you didn't know the history, if no one knew that Carl
Mhm.
Anderson was a leader of Bullet Club before in the past, no one would know that. It was pretty much it was everyone just
Carl
caught that with the
Anderson was a
name.
leader?
Yes, he was. Yeah. After Prince Devitt was kicked out, Carl
Mhm.
Anderson took over leadership. He was there. He was the one who introduced Kenny Omega as the new member of Bullet Club before Omega
Oh,
took over. Like I was
I thought that
doing,
was
I was looking at the
Styles.
history. Like, believe the history of the Bullet Club. It's available on YouTube. You can look. They
Mhm.
broke it into parts, so you can look at its origin to then when the Elite came in, to then when the Civil War happened, to Jay White taking over. That I mean, those are the 4 eras they're covering with Bullet Club.
Yeah. Alright, so let's get
Yeah.
back on TNA topic. We
But I
keep
will
doing that, but
say
we have a lot to talk
regarding
about.
the look of the belts you told me, they're fantastic. The Digital Media Championship, I was a little on edge about that when they first introduced it. Like, is this belt
Mhm.
purely going to be defended for when TNA have wrestling matches online, or was it just a new belt to add to the card? And honestly, some of the mix-ups they've done with it has been it's been a little hit and miss, but it's still been very
Mhm.
interesting. You know, they put the belts on people who I'm like, oh wait, you're gonna give them the belt, but then Jordan Grace holding that belt was was good. I think Matt Cardona had the belts a little
Yeah.
bit, and then of course with Tommy Dreamer taking that belt, uh, and now in the hands of Crazy Steve, who man, the fact that he's like he's legally blind is very interesting.
Wait, is he in real life or is that his
I
character?
think no. He said in interviews to where he has. I'm like He has said in interviews to where yeah he is like blind when he's wrestling in the ring. I do know he can see. Maybe he's just hard of sight now. Um, I don't want to throw in like this huge revelation. No, I just remember an interview
Yeah.
he said to where when he's wrestling in that ring, it is kind of like yeah he is blind.
Mhm.
Uh, but I need to find that interview. Just keep going. I'm gonna find that interview just to make sure I'm not just spouting bullshit.
Okay, so let's kick off with the first official match on TNA Hard to
Okay,
Kill.
I
Oh, go ahead.
well, I looked up his biography, and he is legally blind as a result of congenital cataracts.
Jesus.
And even though he had a surgery removal for his congenial bilateral cataracts, it hasn't his
Mhm.
vision hasn't improved.
Wow. That's
So
interesting.
in the legal sense, he is blind, but he's hard of sight.
Yeah. All right, so let's kick off the opening match for TNA's Hard to Kill, which is the Knockouts Ultimate X match to determine the number one contender for the TNA Knockouts World Championship. You have Giselle Shaw versus Alicia Edwards, Danny Luna, Jody Thread, Tasha Steeles, and Zaya Brookside, who Zaya has officially
Time.
signed with TNA. That's official. So great on her. This match fucking ruled. I love Ultimate X matches, and I'm glad that the women are getting a chance to have their own variation of this match.
at least get their at least have their shot at it because I saw highlights of the first one and I thought that was
Mm,
fantastic. So when it came back, I thought great. They're not going to go as insane as the men do, but even then they'll still have the women. At least this is an opportunity to show you that you can still involve the women. If you give the women a platform, they will step up to it. It's all about
yeah.
how we all manage our expectations. And seeing in the second one, it was good. Tosh Steele's returning as a returning participant and previous winner. Great
Yep.
person to set this whole thing up. And Zaya Brookside, I've seen her wrestle not just on NXT UK, but a few match on the independent scene I've seen. So I knew
Mm.
she's fantastic. Jody Threat, man, that match she had that one match I saw with her and Athena on AEW when they had that rough match.
I need
Like
to watch that match.
honestly, it's not as bad as people say it is. It was just more like
Is that
rough
the one
physicality.
where Athena like really came out as her heel character and she kind of like
No, I don't think so.
went off
That
script?
was like a physically bloody match between the two of them. It's where
Oh, okay.
people,
So I'm thinking of the one on Dark then.
yeah. But beyond that, it was a good introduction for me for Danny Luna. Even
Mm.
though I've only seen her on highlights, I never saw her actually wrestle. And then with Giselle Shaw, I was unsure about her as a wrestler. I mean, I always thought that she stood as a good valet, but every now and then steps in the ring. But no,
Mm.
I mean, her winning the
That
match.
spear she did was off of Jody Threat was awesome.
That was good. I will admit that was very good. I mean, I think uh Jody I think Jody missed the didn't get close enough, but even then that was still a
Hmm.
good it was still good. I'm not taking away from anything from that. And the camera work they
Yeah.
did on it was fantastic too, to where it wasn't a wide shot, it was a huge focus on Jody and then you see
Yeah. Focus
Giselle,
on the two of them. Yeah.
yes. And then you see Giselle just come out of nowhere with that spear.
Hmm.
And I
I
do like
love the fact that. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
no, I was gonna add, and I do like how they do that one spot where the women or at least or at least there's three or more climbing where they have
I
Danny,
love that.
Jody, and Tasha all climbing on together, and they're just hit. Oh no, the closing where Giselle was using that X as a weapon to really win. So I did like
Brilliant.
that's her showing smarts instead of using
Hmm.
athleticism to win.
Yeah. So Giselle Shaw does pick up the victory. I love her character because it's kind of the Summer Rae in NXT style, where it's like she's a diva in a wrestler's world. I like that aspect of it,
Yeah.
like the idea of like someone who is going to go more of the diva style, but can still wrestle in
Reminds
the
you of the
ring.
Divas era, honestly. Where they're all lights and
Yeah,
camera. Yeah.
and that's great because they're using this one character as an aspect of she can still wrestle. She's not, a bad wrestler or anything. She can wrestle. It's just she has that diva personality
Yes.
that some people may not like, and that works well with a lot of different opponents, especially someone like a Jordan Grace, which she has that match coming up whenever she wants with the Knockouts title. I think her and Jordan Grace are going to have a really good dynamic because they're both like Jordan Grace is the powerhouse, but Giselle is going to have a lot of athleticism going into that match.
Agreed, 100%. And that's one of the things when she was a tag team with Savannah. That's one thing I did appreciate with her heelish diva character. She's there
Mm,
to maybe get those little camera moments on screen, and then Savannah's there to do the heavy lifting.
yeah. All right. So thoughts before we move on. Thoughts on the new faction, the System, which is Eddie Edwards, Alicia Edwards, Brian Myers, and Moose. Correct?
Yes, it was originally Alex Shelley, but then after the main event, that changed.
No. Moose was always a part of the System.
Oh, he was?
Alex. Yeah, Alex Shelley wasn't.
Sorry, I was just rewatching Hard to Kill, so they were always talk. So the commentary really confused me there with Alex Shelley, like talking about Alex Shelley. But I think they were going so fast. I was hearing Alex Shelley in the system instead of Alex Shelley like his battles against the system.
Yeah,
So
his battles against the System. Yeah.
okay, yeah, this is one I'm a little off on. This is the one where I'm at my weakest with this TNA was current TNA. So
Yeah, I
I have no
I haven't
thoughts
watched
on
a lot
this
of
faction.
TNA. Yeah, and I think they said the faction actually officially came together on the pre-show. So this is the first time we're actually seeing them as a
Oh,
fully fledged faction.
okay. So there's been okay. I know I from what the commentary is saying there was buildup at least, but okay, if then this is them as them being a fully formed faction, then you know what? This kind of makes a little sense because Eddie Edwards and Moose they are the mainstay. They are definitely one of the long mainstays of TNA. And
Hmm.
Alicia Edwards, I mean those she definitely fills out there in the knockout spot. And Brian Myers, but ever since he showed up in TNA as the professional, he clearly has been someone who is had his own standards when it comes with wrestling. So forming this little
Brian Myers
faction,
just got so much better since he came to TNA.
he has honestly,
The most professional wrestler is a great nickname.
even though that's not his ring style, but it works.
And that's why it's brilliant. All right, so let's move on to PCO versus Dirty Dango, aka Fandango. He's got Alpha Bravo and Oleg Perduis, aka Vladimir Kozlov, in his corner. Which, by the way, when I saw him, I was so confused as to what he was doing here in TNA. I didn't know he was there, so I was kind of like, "Oh my god, Vladimir Kozlov, what are you doing here?"
Well, I think just like with Dango, I mean, this is just another situation where I'm gonna be like a dead horse. Honestly, this is just one where I just came into the pay per view going, "Oh, he's here as well."
Mm-hmm. Which is funny because Santino is there as well, and Santino does get, you know, he comes out during this match because I believe it ends
Well,
in
it
what a
was a match at
disqualification.
first, but then Alpha Bravo interfered, causing the ref,
Mm-hmm.
to stop the match, DQ it. And then, of course, then Rhino comes out to save to save PCO. Santino
Mm-hmm.
comes out and says, "No, this is going to be a tag match. It's not a 2-on-2. It's a 3-on-3. The partner is and Rhino and PCO's partner is Jake something." So
Yeah,
when it went into that match, it's a fun and entertaining match. At least some of the guys got, at least PCO and Rhino got to do their spots. Jake was
yeah,
clearly Jake was clearly the one doing the heavy lifting in this match because he's uh the more agile of everyone in the group. It was mainly Jake
yeah.
and Dango doing a lot of the work, while
Am I the
Bravo.
only one that didn't really care about this match, just in general? I
No,
think I
I think it
skipped a
was
little bit
just
of this
a
match.
to me. I think it was just a palate cleanser match after the knockouts match.
Mm-hmm.
That's why
I
I'm
feel like
going.
this could have
I
been
literally had this
a
playing in the
TV
background.
match. This could have been a really good TV match. I feel like.
I guess
All
because
right,
it
so
was I guess because it was the pay per view, they still wanted to give fans something like just to get their
yeah.
spirits up, especially what came later, especially the match that followed it.
Yeah, I get that one. So Rhino, Jake something, and PCO win. PCO, every time he hits that moonsault, I get so scared.
Oh my god!
What? What happened?
A friend just shared a wrestling news official. I don't know if I want to say it right now. I could maybe save it to later.
I mean, go ahead and say it. What happened?
It's official. On January 31st, Kazuchika Okada will be leaving New Japan Wrestling.
Ooh, that's interesting. So his contract is indeed coming up, and he hasn't
Yeah,
re-signed.
it's official. He's not going to resign.
Ooh. All right, so let's let's talk about that for a minute, then we can come back to this because this is huge news. Where do you think he's gonna go?
To me, with Okada, he can almost go anywhere he wants to. Maybe
That's the
he.
thing.
I honestly don't think he's gonna. This is 31st. He's not. He's definitely not gonna be showing up at the fucking Royal Rumble. That's for sure.
No, because the Royal Rumble's what, the 27th?
Let me think. 31st. That's a Wednesday. Yeah, it's the 27th.
Yeah. So to me, and this again, I'm not sorry. To me, I'm not an AEW fanboy or WWE fanboy. I just love wrestling, but I think the most ideal place for him to go is AEW because he has that history already there. He's had matches with AEW. He's from everything I know, he likes working with AEW. And especially because of the one, the style of wrestling, and two, the kind of lax schedule that he's used to. I think that might be a better transition for him to go over to AEW and be like a special attraction.
Oh, without a doubt, yeah. I honestly think maybe. I mean, if he does go to AEW, I mean, I doubt they're gonna do it, but I can think of him being someone to build maybe Ring of Honor, like maybe take the Ring of Honor championship from Eddie Kingston and have him be the one to be the
Ooh.
champion. But right now Kingston's earlier on with the Triple Crown. I think they're gonna take
Mm-hmm.
time with that. Maybe I don't if he ever does sign a contract AEW, because one thing with AEW, it's been to the benefit and sometimes detriment of the company. They do at least leave it open for the wrestlers to go and perform at other shows.
Yeah,
Like
that's
it's
the thing.
benefit.
I know Okada has a TNA showing coming up. I believe it's Snake Eyes.
Yes.
He's coming back to do that show, which will then open up to allow him to do more shows. Like if he wants to do a GCW show, he could do that. If he wants to do a TNA show, he could do that. But I I don't know if Okada is up, especially because he's getting up there in age too. I think he's like what 34, 35. Like he's in his late 30s.
Yeah, he's somewhere in there.
I don't know if he can handle a full American WWE schedule.
Well, they
See what I'm
don't.
saying?
Yeah, they don't tour as much as they used to, but they're still at least somewhere within 150 to 200 tour days in the
Yeah,
states. It's one of the reasons why I don't think wrestlers from New Japan, when they come to America, they're I mean, like WWE is really going to be their first thought, especially with the grueling schedule they do, and especially depending on how
yeah,
popular they are. People are going to want to see them at almost every show.
exactly. And I feel like if he goes to somewhere like hell, TNA is a possibility right now because of their lax schedule. I feel like Okada wants to do something that doesn't
Also,
require him to be there every week.
Also, with Scott Demore in charge there and Gail Kim and Eric Young, they are definitely not. It's definitely not the same TNA when he was there originally. When
Exactly. And
it is definitely a different TNA, and with them partnering with AAA, it definitely leaves the door open for if Okada maybe wants to
mhm,
give a shot at wrestling some luchadors in AAA. Guess what? He can definitely do that.
yeah. And that's the thing, like, there's so many, and that's the thing I love about a thriving wrestling competition is that
Yes.
now we don't know what's going to happen. TNA is a viable option again. AEW is a viable option. Hell, if he wants to go to All Japan, he can do that. Like, there's so many different promotions he can go to
He can
that. Go ahead.
No, I was actually gonna say he can even show up in small spots like MLW or
Mm-hmm.
GCW. Or maybe even go to some independent areas. Like it's the sky's the limit for him. I mean, I don't want to take too much away from this because we still need to get back on the card. It was just
Yeah.
like I was just gonna go up and just double check something on Hard to Kill, and then all of a sudden my notification comes by and just share it on Facebook. I'm like, wait, what?
All right. Hey, that's very interesting, and I can't wait to see where Okada goes because it's very intriguing right now. So let's move on to the tag team match for the TNA Knockouts World Tag Team Championships. The champions, MK Ultra, Killer Kelly, and Masha Sonovich, takes on the returning Decay, Havoc, and Rosemary. Always good to see Rosemary. I love her. She is awesome. I'm also become a big fan of Havoc as well. Going back to, I believe I saw her the first time in WCPW when she had a stint there for a little while
Oh yeah.
back in the day. So it's really cool to see her. I don't know a lot about MK Ultra. It seems like you know more than I do about that tag team, but I love Killer Kelly. Watching her in like Ring of Honor and things back when they were starting their women's division.
Yeah.
I don't know a lot about Masha, but from what I saw, really great tag team, really great tag team movements. Decay does end up winning the tag belts, which in my opinion is the right move. You want to get some nostalgia, back with TNA first coming on, give it to the people who have been there the longest, and then you can kind of build up new teams that way.
Yeah, I kind of I do understand where you're coming from there, but at the same time, with the fan base that TNA has, Decay may have been like a great moment of nostalgia for those to remember, and
Mhm.
also from what I remember of Decay, they had at least for the time the personifications of Decay and Havoc have been off television, or at least off Impact for I think
Mhm.
months, because at that time, especially I think after the pandemic, because I remember Rosemary and Havoc were persistent, and thinking after the pandemic, they did this whole thing with the upside universe where where Rosemary
Yeah.
was gone, and then you had Courtney, which is pretty much the actual name of Rosemary, Courtney Roosh.
Courtney Rush,
Yeah,
right?
Courtney Rush. Why am I saying Roosh? I'm thinking of Roosh.
Roosh?
Yeah. Yeah, Courtney Rush. Yeah, then there was her thing. Then of course there was then of course Havoc. Then there was Jessica. So it was
Mhm.
kind of a good way. And then of course when Taya came back, they did a reunite. They reunited the Death Dolls. So at least for
Was that
months
the
and
name of Rosemary and her tag team name with Taya, the Death
yeah,
Dolls?
Rosemary and Taya were the Death Dolls. But at the time though, um, at least when it was Courtney and Jessica, they were like they were their own version of the Death Dolls.
Mhm.
And then when Taya came back, she rejoined them. But then but to say it's mainly been months since since the maybe like a year. I think up to a year since the personification of Rosemary and Havoc were on television.
Mhm.
And with MK Ultra, that the formation of that team was, oh my god, you have to watch the singles matches between Masa and Killer Kelly, because that is what led to those two becoming a tag team. Honestly,
So kind of like Cesaro and Sheamus.
exactly. I was going to say like the Bar. They had these hard hitting matches with each other. It ended, I think, in a dog collar match between the two of them.
I gotta watch that.
And then and at the time, the tag champions was the Coven, which was Kylie King and Taylor Wilde. They were a long reigning tag team,
Interesting.
and in the team, the team formed when Masa Semovich showed up with no when Killer Kelly showed up, choked out Taylor Wilde to allow Masa beat Kylie King, and then when it was all over, those two just ended up walking to the back with each other, just holding the dog collar chain around their necks, which led to them becoming a team. And they honestly, it's hard to really describe them. Their tag team is fantastic, but them as a character, honestly, if you ask dudes, they'll pretty much just say, "Oh, it's just HLA as a tag team." No, no, no. Get your dick out of your pants, okay? No, put your dick back in your pants, all right? Put your dick back in your pants, guys. But what they are, they're kind of like it's pretty much brutality and sensuality mixed together, because every time they come out, it's literally like they are roughhousing. You know what? I'm not doing them justice. I am not doing them justice at all. If anybody's watching this or listening to this, go and watch an MK Ultra tag match. Just watch their entrances. Hell, just watch their singles matches on how Killer Kelly is great when it comes to ring psychology. Masa Semovich is fantastic when it comes in the ring. I saw her at a GCW show, so I know she's great.
This kind
And
of tag team reminds me of Alba Fire and what's her
oh,
tag team's
Isla
name?
Dawn,
Yeah, Isla Dawn in
I,
NXT.
Isla Dawn. I'm focusing much on the S in their name.
Am I kind of in the right ballpark with thinking like
Yeah,
that's
you are in the
kind of MK
ballpark.
Ultra?
You're slowly in the ballpark there, but I think MK Ultra kind of takes it to a different degree than
Mhm.
Alba and Isla, because they're not
Okay.
because Alba and Isla in a way they're meant to be more on the super net. I think the way NXT has done them, they're meant to be like a little bit, or at least when they're on the main roster, they're supposed to be more of the
Like
witchy
witches.
supernatural, which is what the Coven is, honestly.
So this is my first time seeing them as a tag team,
Honestly,
MK
this
Ultra,
match doesn't do them justice. Honestly,
and I think still is a really good match. I love how they because there's a spot in here where um was it
is it the one where Kelly is on her knees crawling to Rosemary and she jumps up?
that's a good spot as well. But I love the one where they take turns body slamming each other on their opponents. Where like Misha
Oh,
tags in Killer and then body slams her, and then
yeah,
she body
that's
slams
that's the thing
Misha.
about the whole tandem is a pain because those two nearly beat the hell out of each other when they were opponents.
Hmm.
So as team members, they do see it of
They inflict
inflicting.
pain on each other, and then that like hurts their opponents as well.
Well, that's one facet of their team. Oh wait, no, Hellraiser. No, if you were able to take the whole thing of Cenobites of the Cenobites of
Pleasure and
Hellraiser,
pain.
yes, but not the looks though. But if you take the ideal of pleasure and pain of those, that's kind
Ooh,
of a little bit of MK Ultra, especially if you watch their promos during the time of Impact, which always kept popping up when I saw the highlights. But
I need to go and deep dive back into MK Ultra because this sounds interesting.
that's what I need to. I've only watched two of their matches. This is the third one I watched,
Hmm.
and the thing is, to me, I'm not a fan of them losing the belts, but in a TNA storyline way, this kind of helps because MK Ultra they're the longest they were the longest reigning tag team in the Knockouts division.
Hmm.
So they were the last team to hold the Impact titles and the first team to get the new ones. And Decay, of course, of Rosemary and Havoc. Those two are of punishment and pain.
Yeah.
So it made sense that these two are fighting against different versions of Courtney and Jessica. So they were thrown off, because some of
Hmm.
the psychology, the tactics they played on other teams didn't
Are
work.
mind games?
Yeah, the mind games they played didn't work on Jessica, didn't work on Havoc or Rosemary, which is
Yeah.
why they were thrown off their game, which makes sense to where I do see a rubber match coming down the line to where maybe
Hmm.
or maybe a series of matches that could end in maybe another dog collar match or a cage match.
Give me a tag team dog collar match with these
Or
two.
maybe
That
they'll
would
do
be
a
epic.
maybe they'll do a monsters ball match for the knockouts tag titles. I mean, that's
Yes.
that's one of the positive outcomes I can see of MK Ultra losing the titles is that we might get something down the line that's going to stand out so much more with their character.
Hmm. Which, dude, a monsters ball with these four would be insane. Can you
Yeah,
imagine?
I
Oh,
mean,
that'd be
it
great.
hard not to imagine, but
All right, so let's move on to what might be my favorite match of the card for the three-way match for the X Division Championship. Champion Chris Sabin defends against Kushida, and I always say this dude's name wrong. Do you want to take it?
uh, the way I've been mispronouncing names, but I'll give it a shot. I believe it's El Hilo, no, El Hilo del Vikingo.
There you go. Better than
El
me.
Hilo del
In a,
Vikingo, who
in a
currently now
triple
is
threat match.
the longest AAA mega champion. He's broken
It's
Kenny
like
Omega's
it's
record.
like 800 days. It's almost 800 days, isn't it? It's like
Yeah, he's broken Kenny's record.
780.
Yeah,
Yeah, which is insane. Every time
and
this
I
dude
think
is in the ring, it's must watch
that's need
match.
to clarify. Yeah, he is 26. Okay, so he's very young.
Holy shit. But very interesting point of note that the commentary just brought up. Chris Sabin has held every single iteration of
Yes,
the X Division title design from the original one to the current one. He's held
yeah.
every new design that the X Division title has had, and I thought that was a very interesting point of note.
And it's also very good to actually look back on history because TNA, at least there will be photos of champions of the belt. So every different design of the belt, you will see Chris Sabin there, which is
Mhm.
a nice thread to really tie along to Chris Sabin solidifying his history in TNA.
Yep. So this match was awesome. I love the dynamics of these because most three-way matches, the problem I have is one person rolls out and you have one-on-one and then another person rolls out. This one, all three men were in the ring or outside the ring fighting each other at the exact same
Yep.
time. And it was always really cool. Like there was a moment where I think it was Chris Sabin had locked Kushida and Valkingo's leg together, and Kushida is standing up, and Sabin chops him, and he falls down, and he hurts the knee of Valkingo, and I was like, this is an amazing spot, and he keeps chopping him, he keeps falling, and it's hurting both of his opponents, and then Kushida targets the arm of both competitors, trying to get the hoverboard lock. locked
Yes.
in, and it ends with Saban pinning, I believe it was Kushida
Yeah, he
with
does
the cradle shot.
his cradle shot, which was a great transition too. Because at first he was setting up, but he had the hover, but Kushida had the hoverboard lock on.
Hover lock, and then he rolled it into the cradle shock. This match, we are not doing it justice. This match was 12 minutes, and it was an incredible 12 minutes.
Yeah, especially the opening too, where the three instead of just like the one-on-one lockup, it was like all
They
three of them
all
were trying
three
to
lock up.
lock up together, and then it was literally like it was continuous, fast-paced energy. It is
So
exactly what
good.
and a prime example of how good the X division is, and why TNA
Mm-hmm.
is re-solidifying the X division as its pillar stone of their wrestling
Yes.
division. And I do like before the match happened, they opened up with the president of the AAA to come out to solidify TNA and
The
AAA's
partnership.
their partnership. Don't know how long it'll be, but they are starting a partnership to where it can.
Well, no, they've been partnering with each other since 2013.
Yeah, really,
I
2013.
think,
I do know that
because
I have been seeing
in
every
the
now
in the
check.
video package they had like Kurt Angle wrestling in
Oh,
Mexico.
okay, yes, yeah, they partnered for a while. I guess this time it's just official because TNA is like really getting back up on the up and up. Like,
Well, I think I think this was just them re-signing their deal, saying that hey, we're renegotiating our contracts. We signed our contracts to re-up to partner with each other again. And Scott D'Amore said something that I really agree with, is that TNA and AAA have really helped each other in this partnership. It's not one over the other. Like
that's
TNA
true.
sends people over to AAA to wrestle, AAA sends people over here to wrestle, and they all get to help each other, which I think is a really great thing. And kind of the thing I wish AEW would do more with New Japan, that they're slowly starting to do more, is send more talent over there, have more talent from New Japan bring over there, and you can help each other out in more of a
Well,
balanced
I
way.
think I think AEW is starting to learn more from because when they originally had that little temporary partnership with Impact at the time, it really wasn't paying out well. I mean,
No, it wasn't.
it was the pandemic at the time, so it I get it, but even then, there were still more Impact wrestlers showing up in AEW than vice versa.
Yeah.
I mean, even when Kenny did show up, it was only at like a pre-taping. You know, it wasn't at. I mean, there was no live tapings though, but it was always like
Mhm.
separated segments, like keeping Kenny loosely attached to the product. The only wrestlers at the time I saw were showing up in Impact were Christian Cage, Matt Hardy, Private Party, and oh my god, I'm forgetting another one. Not Well, I mean Kazarian too, before he officially
Yes.
transitioned into Impact, now TNA. But yeah, it's been clear with AAA and TNA. There has been a more mixture of wrestlers showing
Mhm.
up in previous, and even then, TNA always shows footage of when they go to AAA to really
Yeah.
give widespread appeal to that product.
Which with with TNA doing their TNA Plus, I would love to see more AAA archival footage being added to the streaming service. I think that would add a lot of value to someone who like loves TNA and loves that X Division style. I think they would enjoy seeing like an archival footage of like old AAA events, like Triple Manias or things like that, to really get an idea of like why this partnership with TNA and AAA means so much to each other.
I think I maybe probably that's what's going to happen. But I think right
Mhm.
now with TNA, their main focus is to really rebuild themselves. Is to continue building themselves up because I don't know if it's been solidified for their TV deal yet, but because of them coming back, rebranding themselves, it's pretty much showing all signs are pointing to a TV deal. I just can't remember
Mhm.
over talks because at first they were saying it was CW, but then it's been solidified it's NXT that's going there.
Yeah.
Uh, it's honestly I don't want to keep dragging more out of time. And we still got 4 more matches left.
Yeah, so overall, this is my favorite match of the card. This triple threat match was insanely good. We then move on to Josh Alexander taking
Mm.
on Alex Hammerstone. This was a really good match, too. It was really hard hitting, really kind of a strong style type match. Alexander wins with the C4 spike, which was very impressive. I'm a huge fan of Alex Hammerstone, especially his stuff in MLW. I'm interested to see where he goes. I don't know if he's officially signed with TNA or not, but this is a really great showing against someone who is really solidifying himself as the face of TNA right now in Josh Alexander.
I think more than just a face, but he's definitely one of their top guys. Especially
Mhm.
how, at least looking at his earlier career with him and Ethan Page as the North, one of the longest tag teams there. And then when Josh transitioned to be a singles wrestler, him winning the X Division Championship, having some
Mhm.
great matches, and then him becoming his I mean, at the time, the rough, his up and down roller coaster with the world title. First him winning
Yeah.
it, then losing his muse, then getting it back, having one of the longest reigns in the company history, and then that moment of him having to give up that title. So when he came
Mhm.
back from injury, I like the story to where he's proving like I need to get back what I lost, and so him stepping up to Hammerstein was great. And I loved in this match, you do see Hammerstein pulling out most of his
Stone, not Stein.
Jesus. And you had me say Vikingo's name, and I'm messing up Hammerstone.
Hammerstein! That's the ballroom, brother.
Okay, but with Hammerstone though, Hammerstone he's coming in, trying to prove to the audience that he's not someone who's going to start from the ground up. He's there to
Mhm.
pretty much win. But with Alex, it's literally like
Mhm.
a man. Hammerstone came to dominate. Alexander came to prove something. Well, both men came to prove something, but
Yeah.
but it was more of what Alexander proved that he wanted. He had more heart to prove it, which is why you see he was kicking out of all of Hammerstone's power moves, especially
Mhm.
those slams, that elevated. I forget what it's called. That they suplex into that little flatliner, his finisher.
Yeah.
I mean, he kicked out. He did 4 close kickouts, and then
Mhm.
finally, it gets down to the end to where he wins. Like it really was a good story going on there to where Alex Alexander he's going. I'm getting that belt back, but I'm also going to gain something in return.
Yeah. So this was a really good, strong style match, as I said. But then we move on to a fatal four-way match for the TNA World Tag Team Championships. The champions, the ABC, Ace Austin and Chris Bay, take on the Rascals, take on Laredo Kid and Mike Bailey, taking on grizzled young veterans.
Making their
Just to
debut in
note,
TNA.
yep. Just to note that Laredo Kid was a substitute for Trent Seven, who was supposed to be Mike
Yes,
Bailey's partner.
yeah, he was.
So this is a really great tag team match. Um, and again, the great thing about it was that you had so many different styles. You had the high flyingness of ABC and Rascals. You had the technical, ability of grizzled young veterans. You had the striking of Mike Bailey and the high flying of Laredo Kid. You had so many different styles that worked well with each other. At the end, ABC did hit the 1, 2, 3 for the victory, and I'm glad because I really like ABC. I like Ace Austin. I like Chris Bay as a tag team. I think they are a really good sign of young tag team. I think they have that Motor City Machine Guns when they first debuted energy about each other, where it's like you can tell they're kind of friends and they have that kind of really good tag team chemistry with each other that could go forward in TNA.
Yeah, and also them winning the match to help solidifies not only them as a tag team, but to the longevity they have, why they are the champs. I mean, the Rascals, they're like that wild card, fast paced style energy. But with ABC, you do see that the fact that Chris Bay, he doesn't call himself the finesse Chris Bay for no damn reason. They are they're well oiled. They're tight together. The executions they did were fantastic. As much as I do love Grizzled Young Vets, they definitely were the wild card. I mean, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
they were the technical side to really where they grinded some of the momentum down to a halt, which worked for their advantage. And I will say Laredo Kid as a substitution, I've seen him wrestle a little bit, and he is incredible. Mike Bailey, Jesus Christ, seen him in so many different
What
matches
a
on the tournament.
fucking year he had last year.
I saw him
God
I
damn.
saw him at a GCW match. Fantastic. His match against Will fucking Ospreay. God
Dude,
damn it.
classic. That was a great match, bro.
Like
At
if
Bound for
Ospreay
Glory.
didn't even sign with AEW, I would not have been shocked if he signed with TNA. But the fucking matches
Dude,
he had against
him and
Alexander and
Alexander.
yeah,
Yeah, like Mike Bailey and Josh Alexander had a fucking classic last year as well. Like that dude, like Mike Bailey is gonna be big. Again, a dude I remember seeing in WCPW when they did the World Grand Prix tournament. They had him from Canada.
that's right. Oh,
Hmm
holy crap.
That was the first time I remember seeing Mike Bailey.
No, like I said, I saw him at a GCW match. He was wrestling Blake Christian for the championship.
Ooh, that sounds like a great match.
It was a good match, though. It was definitely one of the more standard wrestling matches of the GC of the card. They did throw in maybe some spots. I don't think they brought in. Yeah, they brought in no like of the light glass tubes or anything like
Mhm.
that. No, it was a simple wrestling match. It was fantastic too. I didn't
Yeah.
even. Oh God. No, never mind. That was a different match where someone accidentally hit somebody in the crowd, but that.
Jesus.
Well, it was a moonsault spot where they were going on the turnbuckle. They're doing a moonsault, and when they
Yeah.
went to catch, unfortunately they were a little too far to where the outside of their foot connected with
Ooh.
with a guest a little bit on the side of the face, and unfortunately that guest was wearing glasses, so they accidentally cut themselves with their
Damn.
glasses.
I kind of wish GC and I know it's not their fault. I wish GCW would fix that aspect of like the ring and the barricade.
Well, depending on the spaces, the venues they go to, and especially if they want to have
Yeah.
crowds on the floor with them, it's just one of the downsides, unfortunately. If
Yeah,
they,
because there have been a lot of like crowd getting injured at GCW shows.
yeah, I mean, like I said, they want to make some space for crowds, but then also they trust their wrestlers
Mhm.
within the space to work shows. Sometimes
Yeah.
sometimes it gives crowds in unforgettable moments, and sometimes it's backfired on them.
Yeah. But overall, I really love this tag team match. I still think my match of the night is the X Division 3-way. I think it was like a really
Oh, yeah,
tight
honestly, the
match.
X Division 3 with that literally is the match of the night. It's hard to top that.
Mm. But this was a really good match as well. Um, I will say the only problem I had with this match was that when you have 4 teams, you have so many moving parts that it's really hard to focus on what's going on in the ring, and that makes the match go. It extends the matches longer than they should be. You see what
No,
I'm
I
saying?
agree with no, I do agree with you on that. There should have been moments to where there should have been a slight pause. That's why I thought with Grizzled Young Veterans in, they would at least bring down the pace a little bit to put more focus on one side of the
Mhm.
team. But no, the moment the vets were able to get at least a hold going, it gets broken up later on,
Mhm.
and then it just leads to more insanity.
I kind of wish they would have done a because the one thing I don't like about Fatal 4 tag matches is the idea that only 2 wrestlers start in the ring. I
Oh,
would much rather have it be a fatal 4-way match and then you tag out different people and it's 4 people are in the ring at the same time. I think that would have added a more interesting dynamic where like, okay, now I want to tag in my partner, but I got 3 other people trying to stop me.
yeah. Well, I think they haven't really worked out how to do that yet.
Yeah. And that's for everywhere. Like whenever any company does a fatal 4-way tag match and they do it where 2 people start, but then anyone can tag in, I don't know if I like that.
Well, well, that's one thing that I think. There's one thing with these four-way dance matches that it's just that I think that's why they have to keep it down to a
Mm,
reg. They have to keep it down to a traditional format. Otherwise, it's just too chaotic.
yeah. All right, so let's move on to our co-main event, which was for the TNA Knockouts World Championship. The champion Trinity takes on the challenger Jordan Grace. who was cashing in her Call Your Shot championship,
Yeah.
her trophy. Um, Thoughts on this match? I thought this was a really, really solid uh knockouts match. I just wish they would have done more to invest me in the story.
Yeah, to me, it's not the same when Trinity went up against Mickey James, unfortunately.
Mm,
Where I honestly had the investment there, where Trinity was just trying to still, even though she was Knockouts champion, she was really trying to establish herself.
yeah.
And then Mickey James, of course, she always treated every match she's going in like her last. So, but it still didn't take away the. It did not take away the heart and the going in there. This one just
Mm,
felt to me where Jordan Grace had an up and down year. She's looking to prove herself. She's literally rebuilt herself physically. And so she's like, I'm coming in with a brand new attitude. And Trinity, honestly, if the reports out there that didn't say that she was in talks to go back to WWE, I
that's the thing.
honestly, yeah, that to me, that's what hurt this match. People
Hmm.
were focusing so much on that. And I go, not people, but the aftermath. Once you heard the results, it's like Jordan Grace wins, and you're going, okay, this is what's happening. That's just it. It's one of these things I hate. As much as I don't mind news reports, I hate where everyone needs to be like this breaking news or spreading these rumors around.
Yeah. So to me, that was the one thing that kind of solidified the match of like, look, it was a good match, but I knew the outcome already before the show even started because I have heard that Naomi Trinity was in talks with WWE already.
Yeah.
So I was like, at this point, I was like, okay, I know Jordan Grace is going to win, and when she does, then Trinity can go in the Rumble, and that
Mhm.
kind of, when you know the result of a match already, it kind of lowers it in my opinion because I like the idea of them going back and forth and me not
It lowers
knowing
the
what's going to win.
investment. It lowers being invested
Yes,
in that match.
yeah, it kind of reminded me of Brock Lesnar and Goldberg at 20, where like everyone knew they both were leaving, and you're just like, no, I'm not comparing the match quality,
I know you're not. I
but
know you're not. They're two different matches, but I understand what you're saying
yeah,
there.
the idea that like we knew that like Trinity was leaving, and so like it didn't turn me against her or anything. It just I knew that Jordan Grace was winning this match, and it just
Yeah, so when
my
you had those
investment was
close
lower.
call spots, or when Trinity was going to do submissions, or those little
You
moments
knew
of
that it wasn't going to work.
exactly,
Hmm.
it's
Um,
not really to no negatives, nothing to knock away from this match. Giving Jordan all
no.
her flowers for winning this championship
Hmm.
is just to me where I go, God damn, this is what we're
Hmm.
unfortunately following the wrestling news sites and outlets really kind of
Yep.
affected it. But even then, it still didn't take away anything. This was still Trinity giving her flowers in this match to where even if
Hmm.
this was her last match, she's still gonna go out in a blaze of glory.
Oh yeah.
It's just when you
Um.
compare it to her time in TNA or Impact, she did
Hmm.
exactly not almost everything, but she did kind of what she wanted to do there. I mean, so it did feel to me like maybe as a co-main event, this deserved more time
Yeah.
to really
So
flesh itself out.
we also should talk about the one of the two big announcements that happened before this match in particular. The former Dana Brooke, Ash by Elegance, made
Yeah.
her TNA debut in the audience. Thoughts about this? This could be a really cool, interesting gift for TNA.
Honestly, I think so. Given how Ash, or formerly Dana, I mean, she's constantly been up and down throughout the card in WWE. Like, really,
Mm.
there's only been two times where she found solid footing for herself. Was when they separated her from Charlotte, and when she at least actually no, three times, because I kind of count her time with Titus Worldwide as something special. Like that
That
could have
was
been
cool.
something. That could have been something
Mhm.
great, but they didn't. But WWE didn't give that time to breathe, or they didn't try to invest into it. Like at that time when it
Mhm.
was Titus, Apollo, Dana, and Tozawa, who's now part of Alpha Academy, that was something special there too. That could have been a great mini little fun stable. But that they didn't go
Yeah.
anywhere with that. And then of course the third one was when she was the 24/7 champion.
Mhm.
Like she
So
is. brought some new in. She brought some. She at least brought some new interest back to that title after the whole constant
Mhm.
comedy gimmick of it.
Yeah, so to me, I don't know if they're going, and I'm not saying that they're trying to steal ideas or anything. It seems like they're going more of a timeless Tony Storm gimmick where she's like, instead of an actress, she's more of like an old school
Well,
like
so
TV infomercial girl.
well, so far that's what we're getting from the look of her. We haven't seen
Mm,
anything of her yet. They can still change it. To me, with the Ash by Elegance, it just reminded me of the days of models. Where because Ash by Elegance, it sounds to me like something a model would
that
wear.
sounds like a
But
perfume. Yeah.
exactly, I was getting to it. Like a perfume brand a model would wear. That's what I think
Mhm.
where it's going with her. That I think that's I think what's happening with her. Yes, her vibe with the boa, with the elegant dress, the way her hair is styled. Yes, it's giving you classic 50s
Mhm.
or 40s star. If so, personally, I don't give a shit. Let's see what she can do with it. I'm not going to judge it off just by one little shot of her in the crowd. If
Oh
the
no, no,
fucking
definitely. And I wasn't saying like they're stealing gimmicks or anything. I
no,
think
I know you weren't.
it's
I
a
know
it,
you
it's a
weren't.
really cool idea if they go kind of this 50s like as you said, like a model, like an old school model. I think is really
Mhm.
cool. By the way, I did not realize that was Dana Brooke until they said it on commentary. She looks completely different. Like
That
she looks
is
great.
exactly. And if you'd only know if it was Dana Brooke if you went online and said Ash by Elegance, FKA Dana Brooke has debuted
Mhm.
on Impact on TNA. That's how you would know. But that's
Yeah.
just it. Because the way she looks, her laying her hair down, not letting it be tied up, her especially with her character on WWE, she was focused as like almost like as a bodybuilder.
Yeah.
It's toned down a little bit to where you really do more focusing on the elegance of the look a little bit, kind of like
Mhm.
the classic um, Betty Page style like you go
Yeah.
that route, then we can definitely see something from her. Maybe now, I don't know what's going to do with her promo wise. Haven't heard her do a promo yet. But, right now I'm interested to see what she will do. And hearing from reports that it was Mickey and Trinity that kind of convinced her to come down to TNA.
Ooh, okay, that's interesting.
I mean, those were two of the names that came up. I think also I heard Gail was also thrown into the mix as well to
Mhm.
convince her to come down. If so, it doesn't matter. She's here to test herself. That's one thing. TNA with TNA coming back is something that's good. Wrestlers are finding more options to test the waters, even if it's on television or in a different promotion.
And I think for her to go to, in what my opinion is the best women's division, the best booked women's division, and that's in
Yeah,
TNA with the Knockouts division.
the stronger booked women's
Yeah,
division.
and
Yes.
it's good because now I know for a fact that she has to sink or swim. I know she's a really good wrestler. We've seen that in NXT. We know she can go with a lot of different people. But now it's time to see what she can really do when she's not chained down by Vince McMahon, and see what she does under some people like Scott D'Amore and Gail Kim, who's running the Knockouts division
Oh yeah,
now.
Gail 100%. I mean, Mickey James, she's gonna be working in Women of Wrestling. So no, wait, is
Mhm.
it Women of Wrestling or is it? Oh, I know she's gonna be in charge of a different division. Oh my god,
Mhm.
my brain is just all over the place right now.
But overall, I think this is a really good signing for them, and they have a bigger signing at the end of the main event that I really want to get into.
Then let's get into
So
the main event.
main event out the for the TNA World Championship. The champion Alex Shelley defending against Moose, who is cashing in his Feast or Fired briefcase. I have loved Alex Shelley as TNA World Champion. I think he's the third longest TNA champion behind Bobby Roode and Josh Alexander. He's been putting on classic matches with people like Tanahashi and Alexander and Macklin and Kushida. He's had really great title defenses. And this was a really great main event. I think him and Moose really went out there and they
Okay.
really solidified their main event status for this match. I mean, they did everything from a shell shock on the floor to
that looked
which
a little rough.
that was stiff. I
Yes.
love I love the idea of Alex Shelley being such a smart wrestler that he starts targeting the arm and shoulder that Moose uses the spear with. He goes after the right shoulder, which, if you notice, what Moose does when he wins the match at the end, he has to hit it with his left shoulder. He goes in and hits it with the other shoulder, but he's able to catch Shelley off guard enough to get the pinfall with it.
Yeah, that is
So
good. That is
smartly
good
worked.
wrestling. That wrestling storytelling that not honestly, not many people will pay attention to. They have to
No.
pay attention to that only when the commentators bring that up. But it's like if
Mm-hmm.
you're really watching it, two things would happen. Moose is going to hit with that shoulder, and then he's gonna take a while to cover the pin, or he did that change up with the left to catch him off guard.
Yeah.
It's that wrestling psychology and storytelling that really works if you are paying attention in this match. And
And
as
that's
much
something that Moose is not. Moose is never going to get the credit he deserves for how much he's grown from his time in Ring of Honor to his time as the wrestling god in TNA when he was the world champion, bringing back the TNA world title, which was
yeah,
cool. To now, he's gotten much better. He is a really good promo. He's someone who has the look, the strength, the size, but also the ring psychology now, working with someone like Alex Shelley, where again, instead of going for the hurt shoulder and then, holding the shoulder, he switches up. Alex Shelley goes for shell shock, blocks out of it, hits him with the left shoulder, and then just catches him off guard with a really good pin.
mhm. That is good technical, like the great technical display to show growth of Moose's character.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if it worked more to where Alex Shelley was the heel in this situation, that'd be a great like cap at the end of the night. But because he's a heel and he's with the system, it's still a good way of showing Moose has more in the tank. But even then, with Shelley's run, as many great matches as Shelley gave, some of the promos he's been cutting almost was kind of teasing to where he was getting more heelish, where he felt disrespected.
Mm-hmm.
So him losing this championship is kind of a good way to put him on that downward spiral to maybe he'll challenge Chris Sabin for the X Division championship for Destination X. Who knows?
Ooh,
Who knows? I mean, because I
that
remember
could be
at
interesting.
Anniversary, or I mean when Shelley won the title and Chris Sabin won the X Division title, it was a good moment for the both of them, for the Machine Guns, showing that they're more than just tag wrestlers. But now at this moment, you have Shelley without a
And there's
championship and Sabin
also
with
and
the
there's also a
championship.
story. Sorry, there's also a story going forward because remember in the X Division title match, they said that when the Machine Guns teamed up again, Chris Sabin took the pin when it was against Josh Alexander and who was it? Josh Alexander
Oh,
and Zack Sabre Jr.
I can't remember that match, honestly. I'll have to look it up. But
But it was Sabin who took the pin, not Shelley. So Shelley could use that as motivation to take the title from Sabin, saying like you don't deserve to be champion when the last time we teamed up, you took the fall, I didn't.
yeah. That's definitely another way, but also I think another way that could be done is, I mean, especially after Hard to Kill, when Chris Sabin won, he got this promo to say where he is the X Division, he is the X of the X Division, and
Mm.
Alex Shelley, who spent most of the time being the face of Impact, looking to be the new TNA champion to carry into the future with this rebrand, that didn't happen, and of course with his buddy Chris Sabin moving forward in the new TNA as with the rebranded TNA as X Division champion. Maybe this can count to where he wants to take something away from Chris. I mean, that depends on how they want to play that story angle. But beyond that, that was
Mm.
still a very good match, especially the size comparison. But even though Shelley was mainly an X Division wrestler, the stuff he's done on New Japan, and especially with him, Kushida, and Sabin together as the time splitters, like Shelley has shown he definitely
Time
did
machine.
evolve. Time machines. Sorry, I was looking at. I was just no, I was remembering Kishida's intro pack. I was just remembering Kishida's little video package for his
Yeah.
intro, and it was like it says Time Splitters on there. Uh,
Yeah, that's the team name of him and Shelley as a tag team.
yeah, that's yeah.
But as a trio, they were known as Time Machine.
Yes. But beyond that, Shelley has evolved more from the high spots wrestling into more of a
Mhm.
technical bit of is more to as more of a technical wrestler.
And it's worked so well for him.
It has. It's one of the reasons why he had that long run. And it definitely
Mhm.
showed, like you said earlier on, with him how he chose to go after Moose, cutting him down to size, taking away Moose's strongest arsenal of the right
Mhm.
shoulder with the spear, forcing Moose to really start pulling bags out of his pulling different tricks to throw him off.
Yeah, so really good match. Moose ends it with a spear. Again, I love Moose's spear. It's like a Bobby Lashley spear where he bum rushes his opponent
Yeah,
with it. Like, it's like a football tackle spear
tying back to his days in football.
in the
The only
NFL.
problem,
Yep.
I think sometimes when he does that little roll to the side, it sometimes to me it doesn't look like he's like really like giving a spear.
Mhm.
It just looks like he's giving a right shoulder tackle and then just rolls over, which doesn't
I
leave
think
much
that's kind of the
impact.
point of the spear that he's using is he's harkening back to his football days where, in an actual tackle, you would tackle somebody and then roll on your shoulder
Well,
to
yeah,
kind of
exactly,
roll through it.
exactly. It's just looking
Yeah.
at a
So,
wrestling standpoint compared to the variations of
mhm.
spears that's out there, his doesn't stand up that much. I mean, at least with Lashley though, when he does that little rolling though, you do see him get some connection mid-air
Yeah,
before he changes position.
yeah. So, after the match, we have
The
some big
system comes
news.
out. The system comes out to celebrate with him, and
Yep.
then you have the lights cut out.
No, you don't have the lights cut out in this one. You have just the
Oh no,
music
the lights
starts
did cut. The
playing.
lights dimmed a little bit because of that little video package in the background.
Yep,
So,
yep. And then the music starts, and ladies and gentlemen, Nick Nemeth makes his TNA debut, formerly known as Dolph Ziggler, hits a super kick. He the music plays, shows up behind Moose, hits him with a super kick, and then I'm calling it the zigzag until he
well, we don't
changes the
know what
name.
name
So
yet, so yeah, the zigzag.
the zigzag, and dude, someone said this and on a podcast. I think it was Denise Salcedo who said he went in the crowd and he looked like a rock star.
Oh yeah,
And I completely agree. He ripped the shirt off, the Motley Crue shirt, with the TNA shirt up under it. He was in the middle of the crowd, just like soaking up the ovation. He looked like a rock star, and I love his nickname of the Most Wanted, which is really fucking cool.
the kind of stance where he's at right now, especially after this is like a few weeks. This is like a week and a half removed from when he showed up in New
Mm-hmm.
Japan, uh, and then attacks Dave Finlay to go for to go for the global championship, and
Yep.
now he just came off. Well, today's the 18th, so the 14th. He just had his little first match against Zachary Wentz.
Was that in TNA?
What it was, yeah, they did immediately after he showed up. They did promote a match that he was going to have against Zachary Wentz. Hold on, let me, Jesus, TNA, yeah, debut's hard to kill. Oh, never mind, it's not happening immediately. First match is announced. Yeah, okay, okay, this is just weird. Yeah,
Is he?
against Zachary Wentz. The Snake Eyes. That it said the 14th. Yeah, the 14th. It just happened.
Oh, I gotta watch that. But is it announced that he's officially signed with TNA, or is it just a trial period like he's doing with New Japan?
Maybe it is. I mean, him ripping off that shirt let the announcers think, like with the assumption that he is officially signed in with TNA.
Mm.
But
And
I don't know. It
the
seems to me that
announcers
he.
even
I don't know.
said Nick Nemeth is in TNA.
Oh no! Wait, hold on. Double checking. It looks like it's at least one site is saying he has signed with TNA.
That
Let me
makes sense
see.
because Scott D'Amore, before Hard to Kill, tweeted out something that said, "Tune in tonight as we debut the biggest signing in TNA history." I think is what the exact quote. And I'm pretty sure it was Nick Nemeth. So
I mostly
if
think it
that's
is.
the case,
You know what? I think it is Nemeth because with the partnership at AAA and the fact that Nemeth can go, it looks like he's looking to do some New Japan dates. It does seem to me that yeah, TNA is the more smarter choice for him.
yeah. Um, I am super excited to see what he does in TNA. I'm just thinking of the matches he could have in like the X division with guys like a Wentz or a Kushida or a Sabin or a Josh Alexander. He's someone who can work with a lot of different styles in TNA, and he can make a lot of people who he's working with better in the process. Like him and Moose is going to be great because of the fact that Nick knows how to sell for big guys,
He does.
and the
With
fact
that
that
down, he can.
he's going to sell his ass off for Moose. He's going to make Moose look like even more of a monster. So I am super excited for this. How do you feel about his TNA debut?
Well, as far as making a big impact for the first, not just to play on words though, but actually to make a big impact, just for not only for TNA's first pay per view of the new year with the rebranded name. This does seem to me like yeah, he right now he's a hot commodity. It would be, I would say, it would be more than stupid not to sign him, or at least get a temporary deal with him so he can be with the company for at least half the year for a few pay-per-views. You know, really
Mhm.
use Nick Nemeth, especially to get more eyes on TNA because when he showed, I'm not sure how many people have been following him since, but when he showed up in New Japan, I know that was trending like crazy. So so
Yeah.
then this being the big follow-up and his first official match is in TNA does bring more eyes to that promotion.
Yeah, exactly. Um, I'm super excited to see what TNA does moving forward. I think them rebranding and going back to their roots, I'm definitely going to tune in more to the weekly shows to see what happens because Impact Wrestling, when they rebranded, they did a lot of great like stories and matches and stuff. I just fell out of it just because I
Same
couldn't
here.
find it. But the time where I was really watching, you know, Impact Wrestling was when it was TNA because it felt different. The only thing I would say, I kind of wish they went back to the six-sided ring, but I understand why they're never going to do that. But just like imagine Hard to Kill opens up and you see the six-sided ring. I would have popped so hard.
I don't know if they're going back to six sides because I remember Gale in an interview, and even AJ in the past has said that the four-sided ring makes it easier on the wrestlers' bodies.
Yeah.
Honestly, as much as great as a cool design it is, when I hear many wrestlers who are part of TNA say that the four sides makes it easier on their bodies, so they're able to perform more, as much as I think it's a great idea to separate themselves, if six sides really made it hard on wrestlers to perform or on a consistent basis, and it
Mhm.
definitely affected their health, yeah, I'm sorry. Don't go back to six sides.
Yeah, the only thing I would say about that is AAA has been doing the six-sided ring since they debuted, and a
Mm-hmm.
lot of lucha libre wrestling does evolve around the six-sided ring. So I mean that could be a counter to that, but if it does hurt a lot of people, then yeah, keep the four-sided ring. I just feel like when TNA had the six-sided ring, it made them stand out in a way that
100%.
was
Yeah.
completely different from what a lot of American promotions were doing.
Hmm.
Is there
I
anything
don't
else you
know.
want to add?
I was gonna throw some opinions on six sides, but you know, it doesn't seem to me that maybe for a special one-off show, maybe TNA might do it.
That would
As
be
it,
fun.
yeah, but to me for six sides, it depends on the design of the ring, on how it would
Yeah.
look, how much better it would be for wrestlers if they were to transition back to it full time.
Yeah, definitely. All right, guys. I think that is everything we've talked about. It is over 2 hours, guys.
Which
I think it's time for
honestly,
us.
yeah, it's been a while for us, but yeah, we to be honest, we could have cut Royal Rumble down to at least half an hour.
Oh, easily. But we did have a lot to discuss, a lot to talk about. I want to try to do this maybe weekly if we can get a schedule going. Just get in here, talk about some stuff. Not this long, but 30 minutes, 45 minutes, whatever. We did have a lot to discuss tonight, though. Um, Ryan, before we go, where can people find you online?
Well, people can my wrestling podcast, Wrestling Ramblings and Rages, that I co-host with my friends James Shimo and Brett McPherson. We are back up with new episodes for this year. We just put out 3 new episodes that's available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, um, um, we currently are now part of Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, Overcast, Podcast, Pocket Cast, and Radio Public. But if you just want to immediately just go find the quickest thing, go to Spotify. Our 3 episodes of the new year are out. We did a best and worst of 2023, and we have one episode where James does a little bit of a fancy booking on how he would have Cody Rhodes finish the story.
Finally. Have
Yes.
this man in his story finally. Jesus.
Well, you can go to our podcast and you can hear James Shimo will give his point. He'll give his storyline on how he would book Cody Rhodes winning the world title and ending Roman's reign.
Okay, definitely check that out. If you guys did enjoy this podcast, please hit that like button, subscribe to the Nerd Entertainment Network down below. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you guys soon. Peace.